Over 800,000 tracks a day are being created using Udio. How much is being ingested into music platforms? The more stuff that is on these platforms, the more it impacts your royalties.
We're trying to keep up with AI in real time, scrambling to find out what we're going to do.
We reviewed Udio's terms of service and just kind of, talked about the legality of the AI music that you own, and do you own it, right? Big question. Ownership, copyright, two different things. And what we at least looked at with Udio specifically, because there's Suno, there's other platforms, Udio terms of service, which is the contract that you sign when you get on their platform, does say that you can monetize what you make. So meaning you can put into distribution the music that you make, your new album, your new EP, your new single, all great. But you don't have copyright, not because Udio doesn't say it. It's because under US copyright law, you don't have copyright in AI stuff. It has to be made by a human. That's a requisite in the law as of now. But what Udio does say is it goes, you can use our platform, you can make your songs, you can even sell them and make money, right? That's fine. But you are entitled and you have to give us credit. So that's the piece I'm always like, are artists really going to do that? And then how is Udio going to enforce that? So anyway, that's just a quick recap. You can watch the full video if you want to see the entire breakdown of the terms. I have some interesting insight because not only do I get to look at it from the legal standpoint with the copyright stuff, but I have clients who are in different executive roles in different parts of the music business, from distribution to big record labels. I'm kind of getting their feedback in real time of the conversations that they are having, like this week, with the biggest labels around, with the biggest distributors around, and figuring out how they're going to deal with the problems we're about to talk about. This applies to everyone watching. If you're an artist, if you're a music producer, because let's talk about just the volume of how much music is being created. Over 800,000 tracks a day are being created using Udio, right?
It is astonishing. 864,000 is what they are kind of estimating it to be at right now.
Right. So just over 6 million tracks a week. And so then from all of that, how much is being ingested into music platforms? And our, part of the conversation as well, how much is this diluting the general royalty pool?
Right.
Let's not even include the noise tracks that are being created, right? So if we have waves and humming and sleepy time music and stuff, and we go,
Right.
let's exclude all of that, which is also a big part of this. But even if we exclude that, nonetheless, the more stuff that is on these platforms, the more it impacts your royalties. And then we get into this conversation, which I think is super relevant. So, to take out your notepads, is that Spotify rolled out its discovery mode, which is if you want to get your stuff found and you want more people hearing your song, you can pay for this discovery mode. And so what they do is they give you favorable algorithm treatment. And so more, percentage of like your followers can actually hear your stuff, which is just like, it's the same thing that Meta, they just rolled out. They're like, hey, if you want to pay a certain subscription, we will show your stuff to your followers on Instagram and Facebook more. Like the people who actually follow you already. We'll just make sure they see your stuff.
Every company just wants to bleed artists and creators at every end, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. All these different companies, it's a little bit here, it's a fee there, it's getting paid less there, and it's like these companies are just profiting, and it's crazy. Like we have the reach. When you guys notice your Instagram reach is just dwindling over the years, when before you had a nice reach, you could post something on Instagram and you could go up real fast because they were really trying to let you guys get a reach. And now everybody's reach is stifled. You have to pay for your check marks. You have to do all this crazy shit, and it's nuts. They just won't stop. There's no chance.
No, the you guys in chat, you got it. It's pay to play. But here's a problem, because I'm like, all right, I don't know, whatever, let's try it. The problem is that with the discovery mode is that if, let's say, even just 50% of artists pay for this, then that means now they're all getting the same treatment across the board, which now makes it so that no one's really peeking through anyway, right? It creates literally the same problem as far as just like opting in so that we can try to compete with each other. Like you're not actually even competing with each other. So there's like a saturation issue for sure. But I think you guys said it. Yeah. Pay to play.
It kind of makes me think of like Disneyland, right? And like fast passes. It only works if not everybody is buying them, because then that quick line just gets, filled up too. So if everybody is opting in now to pay for it to get their stuff reached, you're still going to get pushed down. The business just needs to like implode on itself And let's go back to the record store days. When I was going through it, it was not easy to get your music distributed. It was not easy to get your music in record stores. You had to like go through consignment. If they would take you at all, they would take a limited number of your CDs and stuff. It wasn't like the kind of almost entitlement that we have now as artists where we just upload quickly just from our computers to a distributor, don't have to do any kind of effort, don't have to make displays for anything or do any of that kind of hard work. And maybe everything's going to implode on itself. So like we have to go places to see it because everything is being limited, and I'm nervous with all these platforms and 6 million tracks a week being made. And so we already saw on our last live stream, there was somebody that was like, yeah, I uploaded my Udio song. He talked about it. He's like, it was 70% Udio, 30% me, and I'm fine with that. I think that it is going to be just so unbelievably saturated with all the songs that are coming out. I had this thought when I was getting ready for the show that at some point in a couple of years, there is going to be possibly more music that's ever been created in history just because of just how much is being, now I'm not saying necessarily again like ingested into anything, but just being created. More people are getting on board. So like Google also announced this new AI sandbox. I didn't really know much about the backstory of Udio. Like I didn't know that will.i.am and United Masters were like investors in Udio. And I didn't know that it was created by a couple of the people that were from Deepmind, the Google Deepmind AI developers. That's all kind of crazy. So
Which
knowing that,
PS on the terms of service video, I had said that. I go, we were looking at the entity that was noted in the terms of service, and I go, I always just want to know. I want to know, who are the masterminds behind this.
so anyway, Google DeepMind, they're coming up with their new Google AI Soundbox, and it is making loops from prompts. And they have Wyclef Jean, like in the video, he is endorsing it. He makes a song out of it. He's comparing it to like crate digging, and he's saying that it's infinite crate, it's endless. That Mark Riblet, the guy that makes all the music, and he's kind of crazy and he does it live and stuff like that, he made a song on it. They're endorsing it. They're super stoked. There's this other video generation model called Vio, and Childish Gambino is endorsing it, doing demos, saying he's going to be using it for some of his video content. There's so much that has happened over the last like just couple of days. And you're like talking about these conversations that you were having with other people in the industry. Like these conversations are having daily. People are scrambling, we're trying to keep up with AI in real time, scrambling to find out what we're going to do. Think about all the different businesses that are affected from this. Everybody that's affected from this.
Become your own record label, which is literally if you're like, hey, I want to start a record label. Cool, I got you. Understand the entire music business. I want to set up my LLC. I want to do the marketing. It's a lot. So for example, sync licensing, for example, music marketing, it's significantly cheaper than anything you would ever get from a law firm as far as all the stuff that comes with it. And you want to make 6 figures from your music career and you want to do this for real, like I'm going to give you what you need. We talk about just the saturation issue, okay? Because we also know that Spotify recently was like, hey, PS, we're gonna bundle.
Bundles.
Guess what, guys? We're bundling your music with the audio podcast stuff, and we're going to now treat everything pretty as the same for purposes of royalties and paying out. So, we already had a problem of this new threshold of the 1,000 plays in order to get paid. It's estimated that there's a whole lot of money, and someone had said, I need to double check this one, but someone said, it's like 1 million. I'm sorry, not 1 million. 1 billion will be saved by Spotify over time because they cut out all these little guys, which is like a whole lot of people who make music. So if you don't get at least 1,000 streams, you don't get paid whatever those respective royalties are. So as we're talking about, so we go, all right, so then now there's going to be, because there already is, it's not like this is brand new. Now there's going to be even more AI music pouring into music
Oversaturated.
platforms, which
And
are
an
now
already
competitors.
oversaturated market. And an already oversaturated market.
It was Arsene Horowitz, which is the same tech investment giant,
Oh, right. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
argued that generative AI models should be permitted under US law to freely ingest copyright music. So this is the other part of it, right? So we go pursuant to US copyright law. That's we're primarily looking at that. Is it okay for Udio to go and train off of music that it finds on Spotify? And they don't address that in, of course, their terms of service, but it's part of the problem of just being like, hey, you can generate music that sounds really similar. If you use the right prompts, you can generate music that sounds very similar to popular songs. And then at which point, like at what point is it copyright infringement? Because it took from the original thing, it did it without
Right.
permission. It's tough because in one respect we go, look, cool, AI, advancements, big tech companies coming in. But I really go back to just a unfair competition kind of analysis because I think that's the one that's more clear. I go, if you're going to be a company that's going to go and compete with, let's say, a big licensing library
Yeah.
that licenses music to
Yeah.
TV, film, and games. And somehow you get like access to their library, or you just go to Spotify and you just go and learn off of all the
Right.
stuff. And then you build a competing business that puts them out of business. It just will, because now companies can get the AI for dirt cheap, or to get the music that's AI for dirt cheap. So I go, this is more of an unfair competition issue, I think, as a clearer line than the copyright stuff.
Is the new business sync houses and public, like, like somebody made the comment, we kind of laughed it off, but is that the future? Is the future going to be AI sync houses and AI or sync libraries and AI music publishers? When I saw the Google, and I'm learning, who's really behind this stuff, and who's getting involved, and who's signing on board, and who's trying to push out the products. And these are just the ones that we know about. There's more. Somebody put it and asked about it, the other new one that's coming out. Although I did see some videos from it and some samples of it, I actually thought it was pretty terrible. I didn't think that new one sounded very good at all. Like, it's Udio is the best right now. And since they updated their subscription plans and stuff, and they have these new features where now you can take the little piece of the section that you actually want to, it's crazy how seamless. And once you actually figure out prompts, like, you can get it to do some incredible things. ElevenLabs, yeah, ElevenLabs, yeah. I was not impressed by ElevenLabs. There wasn't one song that I heard on that I was impressed on, that I heard anything better that Udio has done. And I'm not trying to endorse him, but I'm just saying, let's be serious about it.
So nuked audio, yeah. I mean, look, what's the difference between humans ripping off artists versus
We're just jealous that we're not as
AI?
fast as AI.
Well, and here's the thing. And we love the blurred lines case, right? So Marvin Gaye estate sued Pharrell Williams and Robin Thicke over the blurred lines song. And they go, you took inspiration from, you ripped off the Marvin Gaye song. Got to give it up. And in that case, the Marvin Gaye estate won, okay? Got a big payout. I think ultimately through appeals and stuff like that, it was a total judgment like $5 million. And so, no, pursuant to copyright law, you go, no, if you are going to learn from or rip off, you pay for it, right? There's repercussions. And so we're just going like the problem is that there aren't clear paths to
Sure.
deal with this. And here's a little thing, guys, impractical effect. Because one thing that distributors do is they have resources where they can reverse engineer the music to be able to tell with up to like 98% certainty
Yeah.
if your music is created by AI. And they also have different things, right, to track if there's things like sampling and all of that. So they're trying to cover their butts. But even once you release it, one of the problems that's so interesting is that you may run into a content ID issue for AI created music. So meaning that the AI created music learned from, got inspiration from the hit songs and came up with a great new hit song for you. And then kind of, what we'll call those artifacts or the little similarities here and there might get picked up by Content ID on YouTube because it's like, oh, you just sampled and, uploaded the song. So,
The
this is
content ID also just will pick up other people's original music sometimes too. Like, that's also has happened before, where it's, misread something or whatever. I mean, it's not perfect in itself, but to your point, for every problem, there's going to be a solution. And AI is going to have it. And then for every solution for that, there's going to be a new problem, that there's going to be another solution. It's kind of like with this, what does Spotify do about bots? There's things that can tell when they're bots, but as soon as they do that, somebody gets a new program together that can outsmart the thing that can outsmart it. And so it's just kind of a back and forth of what it is. But my question is, we're just talking about just releasing it on streaming and what's going to happen with that. Now, as this direct to consumer model gets more popular, as we're seeing more major artists like the Kanyes, we're seeing Pharrell, we're seeing more independent artists, the Curtis Kings and such doing this, maybe more people are going to be releasing their music, AI music, direct to consumer. But just going back to the streaming, the stuff that makes it on there will Spotify need to regulate it because, like, I don't know what their servers are like when they host all this music and all these podcasts and they do video podcasts. But I mean, if there's going to be such an influx potentially of new music coming through without any kind of safeguards, will their servers even be able to handle it? Or how will they even handle that? Are they going to end up just taking independent artists off the tier and then making a new platform for independent artists that's side for them so they can, I don't know. They have to come up with something. But I kind of asked you earlier, legislation isn't even really proposed besides that the Congress is trying to do that's not, it's just trying to get people paid more on streaming, but there's
Yeah,
not even
Living
anything
Wage for
introduced.
Musicians Act.
Living wage. How long would legislation from, even take for something to get in to do something about AI? Are we talking like months? Are we talking years
Oh,
for
yeah.
just
I
something
mean,
to be
are you
done?
kidding me? The latest update was the 2018 to the Copyright Act, was the 2018 amendment, which is, the DMCA. That made few changes. Like, there's a huge disparity between state of law, application of tech, and what's actually happening. Like, for example, we talk about this with cover songs and like the workarounds that labels are doing with YouTube because trying to get sync licenses is just like a nightmare. We talk about that, but I think really bringing this all around to, well, what are the solutions? And we always come back to direct to consumer. You kind of teased about it earlier, but this idea, and it's many people are talking about this. You mentioned Curtis King, and he absolutely has just been very, very, very on this and walking the talk. He took all his music off of distribution platforms and he sells on his website. When he kind of asked me about my thoughts on it, I was just sharing. I was like, you know what? I think even for like my new music that's coming out, I believe that the stuff should be everywhere. I think you should be absolutely everywhere. Music platforms, social media, but I go just be strategic. For me, I'm going to release some stuff and make it super exclusive. If you want the album, you can get it just exclusively through my website for a period of time. And that way we can do like bougie fun things with the people who like really care. And then at some point after that, a month, 5 months, I don't even know. At some point after that, then you just put it on all music
Right.
platforms. So I think there's a way to do direct to
There's
consumer
a
where you
hybrid.
sell and can make some money and don't just be like so worried about being on the music platform streaming, and now you're diluted because the AI and the combining that Spotify is doing because now you're in bundles with audiobooks.
Well, it's being a part of the just the machine. It's like we have it in our heads that we absolutely need these things to be successful. We need, like, I see the question all the time in the comments, doesn't Spotify like help promote your music? No. It's up to you to promote your music. It's up to you to come up with creative ways. It's up to you to beat the Instagram and TikTok algorithms, or pay a whole bunch of money for ads if you figure out how to do ads correctly, which sometimes can take people years to figure out the rhythm of ads and the science behind it to make them convert. You got to take control of your own career. Like, you got to think of this as if you're like a pizza shop. Papa John's just opened up a block down the street and you're a pizza shop. No, like, you're not going to close. You got to figure out your business. You got to figure out the model. And the same thing with this. Direct to consumer sounds super attractive. The hybrid is super attractive. I'm going to drop a video in the next couple of days showing you how to integrate your direct to consumer model in with your streaming. I just recently, when I was watching, Curtis King had Aman Amari on his channel, and they were talking about his problems with his distributor and dropping his stuff, and how that was going. He has a whole different set of problems, but he also released some of his music on his website, direct to consumer. I went and bought that album, his Saturday Morning Rise EP. I got that. It's fantastic. But we got to support these artists directly, especially if you're a fan, if you're creating a culture in your fan base of knowing that that's just how you roll, they're going to ride with you. We've seen it with plenty of independent artists that ride on, their whole thing is, I'm an independent artist. I'm tired of labels. I'm not going to sign a deal. We've seen that kind of, I don't want to say shtick, but we've seen that before. But now we're taking it to the next level where it's just really just all going in on ourselves and in on our businesses.
Our friend over at Sync My Music, Jesse, he released a video today kind of exposing Udio as well. And he was able, through, certain prompts and putting in certain lyrics and things like that, to essentially get, Udio to pump out like exact
Exact.
versions of Mariah Carey, songs.
Bro,
So,
like,
I'll do a reaction to that, but that's what we're talking about. So, like, even right now, we have it's Stability AI, and so they're getting sued by Getty Images because Getty Images is saying you used your AI to
no.
scrub through our tens of thousands of images to learn, and now you're, and we were
But
talking about, we're like,
but isn't the argument even just for that? What are you talking about? Like, so you're saying that if I saw a photography book one day, or if I went to a museum and I saw people taking pictures of buildings and I took a picture of the same building, I see it as being the exact same thing as humans doing. We're just super intimidated and jealous because we're not that smart and that quick and that able to process out so effortlessly. But like, how many sessions have I been in where they're like, yo, let's put a little Michael in there? Theirs goes dun 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 digga dun dun. Ours goes digga dun dun digga dun dun. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to be kind of honest as far as like that stuff goes on. Anyway, I don't like the whole. I get it from the whole standpoint of humans. Let's stand up. We got to stand up for humans. We got to fight the machines. I get it. Like, I'm on board. John and Sarah Connor, the whole thing. Let's go. We just got to adapt and just figure out how we can either make these technologies either work for us and just take control of our businesses, which was something that we should have been doing from the beginning all along. There's never been such awakening of artists and producers getting it. You've never had so much access to so much information. Like the conversations that you had today or over the last couple of days, and the conversations that we've had just with the community over the last couple of days has been so eye-opening. Just the one phone call that you had earlier today was crazy. And it just the access, and we try to make sure that you guys get that information. But yeah, definitely check out that Jesse's sync my music video on that. It's pretty crazy, and the reaction video for that's going to be insane. Subscribed. Question: what if a band decides to take one of the Udio generated songs and re-record it entirely? Will they own the full copyright to that very new recording now?
if I was Udio, the answer would probably be like, no, you made that thing using our platform, but it's just tough because they don't have copyright in their stuff. But there's some other claims there. So if you go and recreate it, which I think, quite frankly, a lot of artists and producers are probably using it just for that. They come up with something
Inspiration.
cool, they get
I've seen a lot
inspiration,
of
they go and they make
inspiration.
something new.
It's probably pretty scary to get too involved and too invested in some of this stuff because we don't know what the laws are going to be, and if they're going to be like retroactive laws or something.
Right.
So it's going to come back and get you later. I think we're going to also see a lot of artists that are, using Udio and just being like, F it. Like, I don't care. Like, I still can earn some money off of it. I won't own any music. I can't, if somebody rips my song off, like, what am I going to sit there and complain it to? I can't get mad if I'm a drug dealer and someone comes and robs my stash. I'm not going to call the police. So like, I don't know what they're going to do, but it's pretty crazy. But I think we are going to see. But I mean, I guess that would be maybe possibly a way that they're going to try to get around if there is some kind of artifact or digital detection, if they just start re-recording things, or they're just, using it for vibes or whatever. I don't
Well,
know.
yeah,
It's
practically speaking, that was one thing that came to mind. I just go, you just be careful, right? Because if are like, oh, it was AI generated, it just so happens that there was stuff in there that was taken from other people's real copyrighted music, and now
right,
there's going to be like
right.
a jump and ship of being like, you're getting sued because your song sounds very familiar than the thing that the AI
Who
used to
who
create
gets
the
sued? Who
song
gets
for.
sued? Did they got to come for Udio too?
Oh yeah,
Because
there's
like
there's there's gonna be one of these. There's gonna
that
be one of these lawsuits, and then the artist is gonna be like, "No, I made it on Udio."
like on that Jesse video, it's like the songs, like he's creating these songs, and it's like he's showing that it is possible that you can do this. Now, I mean, he also says in the video that I'm sure that Udio is going to find that glitch that does that, or figure out a way to
Right? Because
stop
it's not
that from
supposed to
happening.
do that.
It's not
Yeah.
supposed to do that, but I mean, it's like he's really doing it. I think it's regardless, people are going to do it. I think it's I think a lot of it is going to come to you as an artist, where you're going to have to do some soul searching, deciding, do I feel comfortable with this? Do I feel comfortable putting my name on it? Yes, I'm going to have to report it, but I mean, really, what does that mean? I mean, what, you're going to have to report it to your distributor, you're going to have to report it on your copyright, but like, it's not like there's CDs anymore with liner notes that say it right there on there. I mean, I guess if you have a Wikipedia file and your person that's maintaining your Wikipedia goes and looks it up for you, and then they puts it on there, you're kind of exposed later. Don't be like one of these artists that starts using AI, and then you go, no, I would never use AI. Don't do that. I can tell you right now, if you're using AI, don't go out and start saying it, because it's going to come out eventually that you're using AI. And
Yeah,
so
guys, because there already are companies and programs that will reverse engineer so that it will know if it's AI generated. So just to protect yourself.
that that social media backlash in the age where everyone's just looking to fucking gotcha. You know, like I'd be really careful with that. I'd be really careful with AI, or just embrace it if you're going to use it, and just be upfront about it. I mean, that would be the only thing that I would worry about. I write my own lyrics, but I do it on an Udio prompted music track. How does that work?
They're still your lyrics, you know what I'm saying? So if you are inputting the info, the lyrics, and then it's generating the song thereafter, those are your lyrics. You own those.
If you use Udio but convert the composition to MIDI, change the instruments, make a slight composition changes, mix master, could you get a copyright? The lyrics are original as well.
So basically the MIDI was from, is there any component of this that was original?
Yeah, I think he's saying the lyrics are going to
The
be
lyrics are
original,
original.
and he's going to maybe make some new instrument changes. Maybe he's probably going to arrange some stuff. So I would imagine what he's planning on doing is taking the song he generated from Udio, bringing it into another online platform, because there's platforms that do this, de-stemming it, and then taking those stems and bring it to another platform that takes stems and brings them to MIDI, then takes them to MIDI, and then, like, what a process. Just write a song. But I mean, you could do it. It's good to, the thing of it is, to get a good song, it does still take, like, sometimes hours if you're going to do it right, for something that, especially you're going to release. There is amount of patience. I wouldn't say it's necessarily creativity or artisticness, but it's definitely patience, and it's definitely work.
And the answer to your question is you can have the conglomerate of the AI with the original. So the way it works is that, especially under copyright law, you own the original thing. That never changes. But once you now have commingled it with the AI stuff,
Yeah.
it's going to be the most important that when you register the copyright, you have to disclaim the AI stuff. Because what happens is someone comes, steals your great song, you hire me, we sue because you had the copyright registration, right? And then it turns out that you forgot to disclaim the AI stuff. The other side can go and get your copyright,
Yeah.
essentially terminated,
That
unregistered, so to speak. And it ruins your everything. So you
your
have to
rep and your
disclaim it.
reputation.
But as long as you do that, you at least have copyright protection in your original elements.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's what I worry about. Like, you go through all that trouble to do all of that. You release a song, and then at that point, if you're going through all that trouble to hide the fact that AI has helped you, then you're not going to say that AI helped you. And then, like, in 3 years, it started coming like, oh my God. I mean, but who knows? At that point, I truly think, like, in 5 years, if everything is just kind of riding on schedule the way that it is, no one's going to care if music is AI. Like, they're going to be so, just like nobody really cares. I mean, obviously, there's people out there that care about if stuff is like auto-tuned. Obviously, there's people that care if stuff is like overprocessed and overproduced. Of course, everybody wants to have like the Rolling Stones and Zeppelin and you know what I mean? Harking back to the old school days. I get it. But the reality is, these kids, they listen to crazy rap music that I don't even understand anymore. It's tough. These new generations, they don't care. And everybody just wants instant gratification. So I do see this as being somewhat accepted in the future, but it's just a matter of how you feel. You're going to have to deal with your own ethics. It's a great comment. Led Zeppelin actually stole their biggest hits from smaller bands. Sorry, look into it. Many legends are lies, but long before AI. Listen, we could talk about the Rolling Stones. We could talk about Elvis. We could talk about all of these artists that have literally stolen blues songs from and created rock and roll with it, whatever. Do you know what I mean? That was long there before it was. So, in the same way, Led Zeppelin's fantastic. What am I going to do? Not listen to it?
What am I going to do?
What do you want me to do? That's the hill I'm going to die on, that Led Zeppelin took a song or two, took a riff or two. Yes, I wanted those artists to get paid, and and all that stuff. I think they ended up having to pay some of that stuff back. But no, I don't like it. But just at the end of the day, kind of stuff. What are we talking about here?
And I'll end this segment on this. But can creators sue a computer pursuant to U.S. copyright law? No. And the reason why you can't sue the AI stuff, or in regards to the AI created stuff, is because there's no copyright ownership in it. That's the big problem here. You have to have a copyright certificate. And to get the copyright certificate, you have to prove that your thing is human created. And as long as it's human created, then you can go and sue and enforce. But until you have that piece of paper, until you have at least a portion of it that is human created, if it is 100% AI, you're not going to be able to do diddly squat about it.